Yet, what as a bonus of a Mukoto Muntrimu, away the new patriotic party, so for Frabato Honey, the anno egg in a year pa. Ghana Hanum Sawasa Musia as a Obia and few now so no a said the Crebesa Kotamaba. Aha, na Yawaha and a Yaman Penia with him quiet, His Excellency, Ayan another that will go out of the ex-president. I never told just a see as right down Kakraka Palma, a trading upon Yagopon. Now, as right down a better in the National Cathedral. Now, wait, and as of what would you into my pound only yes, sir. Ona odi sika no mu kase pa fa kase na edebesi National Cathedral na bedi ni ho ona ga san so san ye panyini ewo Christian councils ewo Ghana hanom papa yi police for sadom akwakoche no ni nyina na senti no sika na ebedi ni ho se fancy National Cathedral no na ye hu asase ye hu sika so ye hu afuni ye hu nipa no ti police for kira nya ye hu nyina no ye be hu afri nipa no ho yes embra no so fo no na so aye hye pa.
The High Court urging the court to strike out a judicial review motion initiated by the suspended Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Tokonu. In an affidavit sworn by Reginald Ni Odoi, a state attorney at the Attorney General's Department, the state asserts that the Chief Justice's motion is fundamentally flawed due to a grave misstatement of capacity and the non-inclusion of mandatory and essential parties, which it argues renders the application invalid. Now, the affidavit maintains that the matters raised by the Chief Justice are either already the subject of judgment or currently under the consideration of the Supreme Court. Among the cited cases are there are a number of cases they've listed here. But according to the Attorney General, allowing the Human Rights Court proceed with the review would amount to overstepping judicial boundaries and conflict with the authority of the Supreme Court. Right, so these are a few paragraphs of the story as carried on channel1news.com. When you go online, you get the details there. Remember that the show is interactive. We'd like to hear from you. Send us your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions based on the discussions that will go on regarding these matters. Now, I'll start with you, Falong. The matter of the suspended CJ, you would agree that having been at the top when it comes to the judiciary in this country, it's not so easy having your way in court. Despite having been the CJ, and if you watch how the issues have transpired, she went to Supreme Court and lost. She's actually facing some of her colleagues at the committee level, and she's come public with what she feels is an unfair treatment. Your take?
I just want to say good morning to Victoria, the lady downstairs. She cleaned up my face very nicely.
Right, job well.
Has made me. I've been reading a lot of law. I think by the time
becoming law students.
By the time the case is over, I'll qualify to be called a lawyer. I admire her right to defend herself. It is within her right to defend herself to the best of her ability, and that's what she's doing. I'm sure any of us accused would also attempt to defend ourselves successfully or not. But while I admire her right to defend herself, in the process of defending herself, let's avoid creating problems that infringe on the rights of other people also. We have seen her filing. Now, the Attorney General has come out to say that the application for judicial review that has been filed by the Chief Justice has some issues which undermines its competence effectively before the courts. He hasn't said so in a vacuum. He's given about 3 or so reasons for which he says that. Now, let's look at the issues that the Attorney General has raised. He talks of a misstatement of capacity. And all judicial review applications must be brought in their correct legal forms. So the Attorney General is correct when he says that there is a certain failure there to join the necessary parties, because then you exclude them from responding in the capacities that they are acting. Although it's not a personal issue, they are acting by the authority of their offices. Now, when you exclude them and issues affect them, they cannot respond. So, I don't know, is she allowed to go back and make the amendments? I mean, that's up to the court. It also says that, I think he correctly evokes something they call judicial economy, right?
Yeah.
He is pointing out that the matters that she has raised have either been already addressed by the Supreme Court or are presently pending before the Supreme Court, which is true. You know, some of these issues have already been struck out by the Supreme Court, but the substantive issue is still pending. You know, if the substantive issue is still pending before the Supreme Court, allow the apex court to decide. Now, when you take the issue to a lower court, right, because if you've taken the issue to the High Court, you are undermining the authority of the Supreme Court.
And that's where the Attorney General says you're overstepping the judicial boundaries.
Exactly. Right, he's the lawyer. He understands the terms better than me. So, if the issue has already been determined by the Supreme Court or is pending before the Supreme Court, exactly what do you mean by taking that same issue to the High Court? So, let's assume that the High Court sits on the issue and passes judgment. Are you trying to say that we will uphold that over what the Supreme Court has said or is doing? I think in this case also, I completely agree with the Attorney General, right? Now, he also mentions that Article 146, the processes under Article 146 are insulated by the Constitution. They are clearly spelled out within the Constitution. Every single thing that is presently being done is governed by Article 146 of our own Constitution, 1992 Constitution. So it provides an investigatory committee and a very clear procedure that is being followed. Now, that procedure, it's outside the purview of lower courts. Okay, and lower courts, I mean that respectfully. So you cannot then take the dictates of Article 146 and set it aside and then take the issue to the High Court.
She finds fault with the processes under 146 currently underway.
So you mean she finds fault with the Constitution?
Well, not necessarily with the Constitution, but with the implementation of same, saying that currently the process she's being subjected to is unfair. She feels her rights are being trampled upon. And that's why she's gone to the High Court based on a human rights